Okay, and then if you remember correctly, the seam is going to be right here. It's going to go through the foot, and then it's going to cut through here, and then it's going to go through the hat and then up. And I truly don't see a seam anywhere.
When I was first approached by Uninet, the CEO, his name is Joe, he approached me and said, I have this printer. I think you are going to love it. It's going to replace all the printers practically in your craft room. My first question to him after hearing his sales speech was, but like, how big can I print t-shirts? Because my biggest complaint with my Sublimation printer was that I only can print 8.5 by 11. And he's like, well, technically the printer can only print A4 size, the one that I have now in my craft room. And I said, oh, A4 is just like a little bit bigger than 8.5 by 11. He said, yeah, so technically you only can do that. However, we have this software that doesn't take much brain power or knowledge, and you just like put in your design and you click a button and it splits your design and makes seamless design splits, so you can have a large clip art that you wanted to print out and it will seamlessly splice it all together, and then you can just put it together. Am I confusing you? Anyways, we can take one large print, split them up into multiple sheets of paper, and the software does it all for you, and then you just press print and then you put it together like a puzzle later. Okay, and I was like, yeah, but like, am I going to be able to see a seam? Because I do know how to do that with my Sublimation printer, and I have seams all the time. And he said, trust me, you're going to really fall in love with this. And I said, okay, Joe. So he sent me the printer and all the software and stuff like that. After I got it set up, the very first thing I tried, I am not kidding you, I pressed print, did one print. And then I said, oh, I'm going to try this splitting software because that was what I'm most interested in. My second print, so technically my first, because the first one was just like some trial thing, image that they gave me. The very first thing I tried was my Easy Tiger t-shirt that I split into 2 sheets with zero knowledge on how to actually use the software because it's that easy. I actually have 2 shirts that I want to show you. My Easy Tiger t-shirt is dirty and I don't feel like going into my dirty clothes to get that laundry, but I have some 2 t-shirts that are clean. This one just came out of the dryer that I created, perfect for Halloween time, so it's a little wrinkly because it just came out of the dryer, but this right here was 2 sheets, and then I also have this one right here that is also 2 sheets, and I want to see if you can find the seam in both of these, because this is what is the biggest selling point of this actual printer, is not really just the printer, because the printer is amazing, but like the software can do so much. Okay, so this is what the shirt looks like. Again, perfect for Halloween and fall. I just found this clip art on Creative Fabrica and then dragged and dropped it. I'll show you how. Actually, what I do want to mention is that today what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how we split images like these into 2 sheets and then also multiple sheets. So let's say you wanted to do a blanket, like a 54-inch blanket, you can split it up in multiple different sheets, okay? You just don't have to stop at 2 sheets. We can do a lot more than that, okay? So this right here was 2 sheets. So I'm gonna ask you to find the seam in this one. To be honest with you, you probably won't be able to find it until I point it out to you. So this is my shirt. And then if you really, really, really look hard enough right here, and this is due to me not paying attention to lining it up, you can see that there is a little split right here in the graphic, and then it kind of takes like a jagged, it's a jagged edge, weird, I'll show you, but then you can also see it kind of like right here where it just kind of like, it's not a straight line, it's a jagged line, but you could really kind of tell right here where that seam is. It honestly looks like it's part of the design, but that's technically where the seam was. And then it goes, if I remember right, it went like this, and then like kind of went around the heads like that. So it doesn't make it like a straight seam, which is great. And then also with this one, I have worn this several times and I've washed it. I think I've wore this like 10 times since I made it. So it is kind of like cracking in certain areas. But this right here was 2 sheets. And this one, to be honest with you, I can't remember where the seam is. Because it was really, really hard to find the originally, and I really truly don't remember where in the world I put that seam. I do remember the seam being vertical like this versus horizontal, but where, I'm not entirely sure. So the CEO of Uninet, his name is Joe, was 100% correct when he told me that this white toner printer will replace a lot of the machines that I had here in my craft room. It replaced a DTF printer that I was looking to get. It also replaced my Sublimation printer, and then it replaced my standard inkjet printer. And then because I was on the search for hot foiling capabilities, I was on the hunt for a black toner printer or laser printer. So it replaced 4 printers in one square, but then also the size capabilities of it all and what he said about the software is 100% correct. It is super easy to use. You get seamless designs with no issues, and it's super easy to use. Okay, now that I've shown you these, let's go and create a couple items together, and I will show you how easy it is to use the software. For the very first project, what you want to do is just find your downloaded file that you want to use. I found both of these images over on Creative Fabrica, and this one right here is going to be our very first one, and we are only going to split this up in 2 pieces of paper, okay? So you can tell that the sheet or the page size that I have here is 8.5 by 11, or a little bit larger. It's actually A4. A4 is a little bit thinner than standard letter size, but longer than standard letter size, okay? So if we were to fill this up, removing the image, and we'll just fill this up, try and make this as large as possible. The largest thing that you would be able to print on an A4 size sheet is 8 inches by 9.34 inches. Now, if you were doing this on like a child size shirt, this size that we have here would be perfect for that. Depending on a tote bag that you're using, it probably would work for that as well. However, if you were trying to do a DTF transfer for a large adult size t-shirt, anything that's like medium, large, extra large, anything like that, you are going to need a larger size decal. The last thing you want to do is print this and put this on a large shirt and it be so small that it will look disproportioned, okay? So this is why this is so important, all right? Let's just say that I wanted this to be printed larger, okay? So I'm just going to move this back over into the original position, and what I'm going to do is I am going to right click and I'm going to press split image into Smart Cut. Now what happens is you're going to get this whole new window, and this window is a portion of the software called Smart Cut, okay? Now if you wanted to, you could resize this to the size that you need. I'm just going to leave it, let's do this at 11 inches just to keep things simple, and just press OK. You can rotate this if you wanted to, but what you really need to do is come down here to split, and the very first piece of paper that we need is click on that little wrench looking thing, and we are going to press A4. Okay, this right here, this rectangle that we have is going to be the size paper that we have, and if we move this over on our image, you can tell that like our entire image will not fit onto this A4 sheet of paper, okay? So then what you want to do again is come over here to the second sheet, and you're going to click on it. You're going to make sure that it's set to A4, and you're going to press OK. Now for this, do you see how we're going to take both of these pieces of paper? If we printed this on 2 pieces of paper, both of these will end up covering your entire design, which is perfect, okay? Now, this is really important. Do you see how these 2 squares, the pink square and the blue square, overlap a bit? That's perfect. What you don't want is for your image to look like this, okay, where you have nothing overlapping, because then you won't get an actual cut image, okay? So when we set things up like this, what you want to do is make sure that we have some overlapping. I actually prefer a large overlap between both of my images, and the reason for that is the software is going to be able to like choose the best path possible for my particular images. It does all the hard work for me, okay? Once I have a decent overlap and I'm making sure that my entire image that I'm going to print is fully covered, what you want to do is come over here and press Smart Slip. Now this portion is actually really, really important to pay attention to. Now this is really important because what? the software does is let's say I choose dark because I want this to go onto a dark thing. What the software does is creates the best split in your design that's only splitting through dark colors. So that was kind of like when you saw on my thing where I had like a little bit of a gap or whatever, you can't really tell because it's in the dark area. So if you were to press light, but then end up pressing your item onto a dark garment, what's going to happen is you're going to be able to see those splits. Okay, so making sure that it's really important that you know what type of garment color you're getting ready to press your stuff on. For this particular item, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select dark garment. Okay, so now on my screen, you'll see that I have windows. I have the left and the right. And then you'll notice that my split on my graphic is split on the dark side. You can see that I have like a black line here and then all these black lines. And then over here as well, it's split on the dark area. Instead of splitting it down the like the white portion of this ghost goose, if you were printing this on a white fabric, I bet it would do it like that. And actually, let's test that theory. But before I do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to press save and then press yes. What ends up happening is then you're going to go back into your original screen. And what happens is you're going to have to press load graphic. We're going to have to press this 2 times because it's going to have 2 different graphics. Okay, now that we have that loaded, let's try and split this up using a light graphic and see what the difference is. Split image. Okay, I'm going to resize this to 11 inches just for the same thing that we did earlier, so we can get an apples to apples of what we have. Doing the same thing as before, selecting both as A4 sheets, and I'm going to press Smart Clip. Instead of dark this time, I'm going to do light, and the machine is going to do its thinking.
All right, and just like I had suspected, do you see where the split lines are? The split line is first not completely straight, and second is it goes and splits through the white portions of this goose ghost. So when we go and put this on a light colored shirt, if you don't marry them perfectly, you're probably not going to see the seam anyways because it's on a light garment, okay? So for this one, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to exit out of this because I don't want this one.
I found another item on Creative Fabrica, and it's going to be this one right here, and I'm going to drag and drop it into the software. We're going to create a new job, and then this one, same thing as before. We are going to right click and we are going to split image using Smart Cut. New window is going to pop up. Now for this one, what I want this one to be, the height, I want it to be 8 inches. And actually, let's see here. We're going to go into split and then do the first one as A4 and press OK. I just want to make sure that I'm able to do multiple sheets for you. And actually we have a long ways to go. So the height on this sheet right here is going to be 11.3 inches. So let's change this height over to fit that. So let's do 11 inches and press OK. All right. Because now I'm going to need multiple sheets of A4 sheets of paper because we have one. Here is our first sheet. Just to double check that we need multiple sheets, we're going to take this second one and we're going to add in another A4 piece of paper. Now you can see that we have 0 overlap. There is this huge gray area right here, which is not going to work for us, okay? We need to have multiple sheets. So instead of doing another A4 sheet, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this over, not to A4, but to custom. And then I'm going to press OK. So for this one, what I want to do is I want to make sure that I'm over here on the very right, not cutting anything off to the right, but I'm going to make this larger. And again, we are going to do a little bit of overlap because we want to make sure that the system has enough area to where they can do their smart little cuts. So I'm going to do it like this. Okay. Now what you want to do is press Smart Split. And for this one, I am going to do a light garment. Just like that. That was super quick and easy, right? So now what we need to do is we still need to continue cutting up our image, okay? So what we're going to do is come over here into this job that's right here. We're just going to slide this over and make this bigger. For the first sheet, also would like to know, don't resize any of this at this point, okay? For the first sheet, what we want is the A4 size. So we're going to come up here to custom, choose A4 and press OK. And then for the second sheet, we always just start off with A4 just to make sure that we don't actually need another a fourth sheet if we don't need one, okay? So I don't, because I can move these around and I still have two A4s, and I'm going to be able to see how I have overlap, two A4 sheets looking perfect. So I'm just going to drag this over here and drag this one close just so we have a really good area. This area right here is where the system is going to say, hey, I need to find the best route possible to split. Once we're done doing that, you just want to press Smart Split. It's not going to make you choose whether or not you have to do a light colored garment or a dark colored garment again. So now what we have is one sheet right here, and you can make these smaller if you wanted to, just so you can see more of what you're doing. So we have 1, 2, 3. We have 3 A4 sheets. So when you're happy with this, what you're going to do is you're going to press save, and then you want to press yes. So just like the very first time, what it's going to do is you're going to need to press OK, and you're going to have to press OK 3 times because the machine is going to now send over all 3 of those images. Now, if you had something that was like, let's say 52 inches long, you would continue to do A4 sheet as your first, and then custom size for the second sheet, and then continue making those splits until you essentially can fit the last portion of your image on 2 A4 sheets of paper. Okay, so now I have all 3 of my summer images put on there, and I also have the 2 geese things right here. Now I'm going to print these out, and I'm going to show you what they look like actually printed out. So let's come over here into print settings, and what I need to do is I need to change my configuration over to overprint. And I am going to use the 2-step standard because I am going to press my stuff onto my garments, okay? Maybe not so much the summer one because I don't think I have a shirt large enough for that, but definitely the geese I am totally going to press today. So I want to make sure, and I'm going to use my tray 1 for this, and everything else is set up correctly and my media size is set up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on my goose. Now, when we double click on our images and insert it in here, you will notice that my image automatically reversed. And that's because in the software, if you already have it set up that you are going to be using the DTF transfer sheets, it will automatically mirror the item for you, which is wonderful. So you never have to forget to mirror your items. Also, I would like to note, please do not resize any of this. Like, you can come over here into artwork and you can like fill up the page and stuff like that. Do not do that. Don't do anything. If you need to mirror it. But outside of that, do not resize because we are going to be piecing this image next to something else. If you don't resize the something else, everything is not going to fit together like a puzzle. So you just want to make sure not resize any of this. You want to make sure and have everything loaded in properly. And then I am going to be using the 2-step paper for this. So over at my computer or over at my printer, all I'm going to do is I am going to insert just a stack. You don't have to do the entire stack. We got this thing. This was plain printer paper. Now I have this. I'm going to insert this into my printer. This is going to be print side up, so I just need to make sure that the matte sheet of paper is print side up. We're going to put that in here. I also have my black toner inserted into my tray. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up and I'm going to take my black toner out and then put my white toner in. The white is very important because that is what you're going to be able to see on a dark garment. So having that white inserted is very important. All right, making sure that this is nice and tight. Looks good. We're going to insert that into the printer. Now over at the software, what you want to do is just press that print button. Now what the software is doing is sending this design over to my printer. And then what you can do is you can just double click on this next one. You want to make sure that everything is set up just the way you need. Overprint, 2-pass. We are going to do tray 1. Looks good. So then you just want to press print. We're just going to send all of these sheets of paper over to my printer. Okay, so now all we have to do is wait for our printer to get done printing. It's going to print a total of 5 sheets of paper. Let me show you how we prep these.
For these particular prints, they are printed on this like clearish type of film. They're kind of like glossy, frosted looking. If you were to take this and try and heat press this directly onto your fabric, it won't work. You actually have to add in the adhesive for it. So that is where this comes to play. So remember when it said 2-step, this is step 1 and this is step 2. This has your adhesive on there. So this right here gets married with this, creating that 2-step process. Now in traditional DTF prints, what happens is they print on something like this and they put on this powder and then it gets baked onto your image. Instead of baking anything, we just marry these two together, okay? So it's not hard at all. It feels like it's an extra step, but in like traditional DTF printing, you have to do this step anyway, so it's truly not even that big of a deal. But just taking one sheet of paper, what you want to do is, well, before we take one sheet of paper, what we want to do is we want to turn our heat press on. We want to set our heat press, so we're going to set it, and we're going to set it to 310 degrees, but we are going to cook this for 120 seconds. And then this right here, what we are going to do is we are going to put this on medium pressure, which I'm already set up to that. Now, one important thing with this 2-step thing is that when we're heating up our heat press, what you want to do is just hold the clamp. You don't need to push it all the way down, but you want to make sure that your bottom thing is getting heated up so it's nice and hot. Sadly, I checked and I don't have anything large enough to put this press on because it's huge. But just to show you that if we were to press this, it would virtually be seamless. So this seam would be right there where the M is, and then also the E, and then there's nothing up here, but where the M is at, the seam would be right here. But when you would press it on your light garment t-shirt, you would never be able to find that. And then also for this one right here, the seam would be right here in the N. And then up here at the W, it went and cut off in between the M and the E. So there's nothing to see right there. But you would line these up like that. And then up here at the top, it's kind of hard to do it with one hand, but then there would be no seam here. And then no seam here if I line this up appropriately. So that is just the gist of how you would piece together a 3-piece thing. Okay, so this is close enough to being done. So what you want to do is for like your first sheet, this right here is going to be the top portion. It has the lines, like yellow lines on it. You're going to marry them together with your print side together. Slide this out of the way. We're going to put this like this with the line side up. You could do 2 sheets at a time if you wanted to. I am not that fast of a peeler, so I like to just keep it at 1 sheet. You're going to put a black cloth over the top of this. Then all you're going to do is you're going to sandwich this together. Okay, then you're going to wait for 120 seconds. Peeling off this, what you want to do is just take a white cloth and we're going to rub this just to make it to where it's tolerable with your hands to touch because it's really hot. Now, keeping it on your platen, what you want to do is roll your sticky side away from your printed side. And you kind of want to do this in a fluid motion. To be honest with you, they make it seem like in the how-to tutorials that come from Uninet, they make it seem like it's going to be really difficult, and it's not. You just want to make sure and pull it in one fluid motion just like that. Now there is going to be some residual stickiness that you see, like residual whiteness that's right here. That's not going to be a part, I don't want that to be a part of my print, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim around all the nastiness that was left over. But before I do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this inside my print, same setup, putting the black cloth over. And this is going to go for 120 seconds. Alrighty, and here is print number 2. Now, same thing. You are going to have some like excess white stuff that's like on the corners and stuff like that. You want to cut that excess off. Okay, then when it comes to pressing t-shirts, my favorite little hack for this, I'm sure you've seen it before, is taking your direct middle of your shirt and folding it in half. So we have that direct middle right there, right? Let's fold this Just do a little crease down the middle. All right, so there's going to be a crease line down the middle of my shirt. Okay, then when we press our design, what we need to do is, keeping it the same temperature, we need to make sure that we are pressing this for only 30 seconds. Medium to high pressure for this as well. But this is what our finished design is going to look like, right? So we have left half and this half. We are going to have to do this in 2 separate prints because you can't do it together. Otherwise you're going to stick your item together. So I'm going to find the direct middle, which is right there, and I like to do 3 fingers to the below. So I want to make sure that my design is going to be 3 fingers, which it is. Okay, so I'm going to put this guy over here to the left of my design. I'm just going to use a little bit of heat resistant tape to hold this in. We're going to use some craft paper to go over the top of our image, and then what we are going to do is we are going to place this and we're going to do a 30-second press. Now this right here is a cold peel or a cool peel. So what you have to do is when we are done with heat pressing, you want to make sure that your garment is completely cold before peeling what we just pressed down there. A way to speed that up is to use an ice pack. All right, let's open this up. And then what you can do is just place down an ice pack. Now, if you don't wait until your garment is completely cooled or your decal is cooled, what happens is when you go to peel this up, your decal will come up with that transfer tape, leaving you with not a very good transfer. Okay, should be pretty good. So then you just want to peel it away. You don't want to go too fast on this, especially if you did the ice pack method, because you want to make sure that you have a good cool. If you start to peel it and then notice that it's lifting, I would just shut the, I would put this down and reheat press it and peel it up again when it has cooled down. All right, so we have that done. Okay, this is where you're gonna have to really pay attention on where we place it, is you're going to put this over the edge. Okay, I feel like I have this lined up pretty good. Okay, the important step for this one is we need to make sure, and I'm going to put in some heat resistant tape just so the item does not move when we press it. Okay, all right, here is our craft paper again. We're gonna do another 30-second press. Ooh. Open this back up, doing the same thing. I'm gonna lay the ice pack down. Okay, for the next step, because we have to seal this up just like any other type of HGV project or anything like that, when we pull the transfer tape up, what ends up happening is our decal also gets pulled up a little bit. So you want to reseal this, okay? There are 2 things that you could do when it comes to this type of transfer, the 2-step transfer. You could do the craft paper again over the top of this to seal it, but what you're going to be left with is something that looks exactly like this and it's kind of shiny. The other thing that you can do is get this like finishing sheet, and that just makes it to where it has a matte finish, which is something that I prefer. So now that this is cooled down a little bit, we're going to peel this. All right, now what we're going to do is just take our finishing sheet, put it right here, and we are going to press this again for the same amount of time as before. Okay, and then if you remember correctly, the seam is going to be right here. It's going to go through the foot, and then it's going to cut through here, and then it's going to go through the hat and then up. And I truly don't see a seam anywhere. So this is what the end result looks like, and dang. Maybe if you look really closely, if we're nitpicking, I could have dropped it down just a little bit lower because it looks like it's just a little bit up a little bit, but like, is anyone going to know that from far away? Absolutely not. This looks so professionally done. I seriously am in love with my new printer, and especially the software, just because this right here was so easy to make, right? And end results looks professionally made. I love it. All right, y'all, I hope I inspired you to create, and I'll see you next time.